Your future self is spying on you through memories. Current me, leave me alone. By definition, it's impossible to skip breakfast. How? It's the first meal of the day. Don't eat. B, P, D, and Q are the same letter, and no one talks about it. What if aging is a disease, and Earth is a quarantined planet, and that's why aliens don't visit us? If brains are biological computers, why don't we lag? You can't tell me you've never walked into a room, forgotten why you're there, or lost a train of thought for a few seconds. Once I was driving home from school, I had a brief moment of panic because I thought I'd forgotten my car at school. Water is really what a rainbow tastes like. We're more afraid of losing our jobs than we are of dying. That's because dying is the end of my problems. Losing my job is the start of so many more. Humans have had the ability to communicate for at least 50,000 years, and some of us still can't even talk to girls. How did we get this far? No matter how old you are, an empty wrapping paper tube is still fun to bonk someone over the head with. Seeing a cardboard tube activates the Cain instinct. Laughing until you cry is funny. Crying until you laugh is terrifying. Muffins backwards is exactly what you want to do when you take them out of the oven. Sniff them. I messed up. Head empty, no thoughts. I put our plastic shower curtain in the drying machine. It's clean now. Muscle spasms were the original weird flex, but okay. More like, what? Ow, stop. Heart palpitations are like that, but much less fun. Nobody cares if their deodorant is 24 hour or 48. They're still going to apply it once a day. 1 million seconds ago was last week. 1 billion seconds ago, the Soviet Union existed. 10 million seconds ago and I still had possession of my kids. Screw you, Shauna, you witch. Most straight men flirt more with their homies than they do with women. If I don't, who will? Saying you'd be happy if you died tomorrow either shows that you're really happy with your life or you're really depressed. 2019 will most likely be the last year to end with teen for the rest of our lives. You are probably in the background of a framed photo in a random house. Impossible. That requires I go outside during human hours. When are human hours? If you were born with your legs coming out first, for a moment, you wore your mum as a hat. I wish I never saw this.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
Ooh, hot. Finally, an actual shower thought. I thought they were blowing on their food. Cannibalism holds the potential to solve both hunger and overpopulation problems. What are you thinking about in that shower? What if sleeping is our natural state, and we're only awake to gather information for our dreams? You stop that. You don't fully appreciate Pac-Man until you too are desperately trying to find the right pills that makes the murder ghosts go away for a while. Outdated memes should be called memories. Thanks for the memories, even if they weren't so dank. They taste like you only meme. Early bird gets the worm, early worm gets to die. Everything in the universe is either a pizza or not pizza. If there are straight people who are in denial about being gay, are there also gay people who are actually straight but in denial? I think so, yeah. If you love milk chocolate but don't like dark chocolate, you actually like sugar more than chocolate. If you like pickles but don't like cucumbers, you actually like vinegar more than cucumbers. If you like roasted chicken but not raw chicken, you actually like the heat from the oven more than the chicken. Shower thoughts. What if fish never learned how to swim? If we weren't able to breathe through our mouths, colds would kill us. 99% of the human population, alive or dead, doesn't know you exist. And 99% of those who know you exist don't care. How do you know? Mosquitoes sure are brave for creatures with only 1 HP. The not safe for work sites in the Star Wars universe must have so many categories. Okay, I don't want to think about that, but you are right. Are Medusa's leg hairs tiny snakes? Now we're asking the real questions. In the future, almost no one will be born in November. If they all follow No Nut November, he's a little confused, but he's got the spirit. Since the sun is 4.6 billion years old and takes 230 million years to orbit the center of the Milky Way, in his own years, our sun is 20 years old. So I can legally get with the sun? That's the first thing you think of? Freak. Guna. Remember when people had diaries and got mad when someone read them? Now they put everything online and get mad when people don't, because there are always pregnant people. The average number of skeletons in a body is higher than 1. Whoa. McDonald's was originally owned by brothers Dick and Mac. Just think, you could be enjoying a big... Your heartbeat is probably perfectly synchronized with someone else's, especially if you're dead. At some point in your life, you've probably made eye contact with a murderer without even knowing it. Maybe I've spoken to one. Now that would be crazy. That person was definitely flirting with me. I should have asked for their number. Did you not understand what Shower Thoughts is for? Why did you post this here? Because I thought of this in the shower. The more serious the relationship gets, the the more casual it gets. An apple a day will keep anyone away if you throw it hard enough. In a way, your body is just an advertisement for your sperm/egg. Fire my marketing department. School is more about conditioning kids for the 9-to-5 grind rather than learning. Also, keeping the kids occupied so that their parents can fulfill their 9-to-5 obligations as well. If you're murdered, at least someone thought you were important enough to need to not exist anymore. Me being stabbed violently? Oh, how nice. Never knew he felt that way. I'm glad people are finally recognizing just how stupid shower thoughts is, and how 90% of the time it's just like, if you hold a sword in real life, it's like you're in Skyrim. This was the only good shower thought post I could find. Cows say, and dogs go, looking for a new computer on an old computer is oddly cruel. That's like asking your wife to hook you up with her younger, hotter coworker. Someone studying atoms is really just a bunch of atoms trying to understand themselves. What have you done? Thoughts on? No, my thoughts are currently off. I don't think we get energy from sleep. Okay, Mr. Sleep Specialist. Most of us have spent more time trying to crack our own online passwords than any hacker ever will. Rest in peace to my old Yahoo account, which I don't know the password to, but they insist that I also answer the security question, which I have no clue what 12-year-old me answered. There's probably a lot more guys who like small bobs than girls who like small things. Wonder why you thought of that in the shower. Everyone has their private time, some shorter than others. Sleeping sucks. You take ages to finally fall asleep. You miss out on hours of your conscious life, and when you wake up, your breath stinks, you look awful, and you stink and need to clean yourself. But unlike earlier when you couldn't get to sleep, now you just don't want to get up. I shower and brush my teeth before bed and still wake up looking like I died. Are you really even alive? Where do we go when we sleep? Your whole life is basically a not safe for work intro until you eventually do it with someone. Well, I would like to skip to that part then. Where's the damn fast forward button? Toddlers are like velociraptors. They screech a lot and they get way more dangerous when they figure out how to open doors. However, unlike a velociraptor, I can punt a toddler. I have great news! You can in fact punt a velociraptor, but at what cost? People born via a C-section do not have a birth date, but a release date. One day, the Lord of the Rings trilogy will be remade and we'll all hate it. The part of the ugly duckling no one ever mentions is that after a lifetime of bullying, the duckling grows into a swan, the undisputed biggest a-hole of the bird kingdom. You don't actually know what day you were born. You're just taking everyone's word for it. We pressure introverts to socialize to push them out of their comfort zone, but we don't isolate extroverts to push them out of theirs. Once you have read a whole dictionary, all the other books you will read are just going to be remixes. If we can only catch the slow mosquitoes, we're slowly breeding better, faster, super mosquitoes. This is also the same thing with spiders. They're just getting sneakier and sneakier. Surely as well, they'll evolve to a point where they will attack humans because we attack them so much, right? Having the deed with you is one of the rarest accomplishments in the world. Let's say you had sexual relations with 20 people throughout your life. Fictional number because you get no people. That means only 0.0000003% of the world's population had the infamous experience of doing it with you. Doing it with your mum, on the other hand, super common. If a morgue worker dies, they would still need to come in to work one more time. Yeah, but they won't get paid. They get stiffed, and some get fired as well. Well, they have to earn their living. Some cultures don't eat cows. Some cultures don't eat pigs. But no culture has ever shown objection to eating chicken. Chicken is the key to world peace. The Chick-fil-A cows were right. Once we start to colonize Mars, we will have to deal with even more time zones. Collective programmer sobbing. People at 2 different points in the world could have a baby at the exact same time. But due to the time difference, one would automatically be older, but also the same age. There's some guy in the corner of this planet who has rickrolled the highest number of strangers on the internet. His name is Rick Astley. Elastigirl must have pretended to be in pain while giving birth to her 3 kids in order to keep her identity a secret. Amputating Mike Wazowski's leg would be exactly the same as beheading him. Keanu Reeves' PR person probably has the easiest job on earth. 95% of animal vocalizations are either, let's do the deed or go away. Being asked, why are you depressed? Life is beautiful, is like saying, why do you have asthma? There is so much air. Just saying is the no homo of free speech. If we buried our dead vertically instead of horizontally, we could save a ton of space. The older you get and the more professional experience you get under your belt, the more you realize that everyone is faking it and everything is on the verge of falling apart. Generation Z was this close to being the first generation to not smoke until that a-hole came out with a USB stick that tastes like bubblegum. I like a reference to vape gear as sucking the devil's USB drive. It kind of makes sense that the target audience for fidget spinners lost interest in them so quickly. How many times do intrusive thoughts occur before they just become thoughts? science. 3. The scariest stories are the ones that can't be told because there's nobody left alive to tell them. Starfish have their mouths at the center of their body, and mermaids use starfish as bras. Mermen use starfish too, but not for their nipples. What? Low-key glad cars were invented. Imagine waking up your horse at 3 a.m. to get some action. It sounds way more enjoyable. Sounds intense. Boom. He must be thinking about me. Taking into consideration how big the universe is, there has to be a pee-pee-shaped asteroid just floating around somewhere in space, and it might hit Earth. The reason most of us stay up late is because we don't want our free time to end and tomorrow to start. If the devil has a pitchfork and the Grim Reaper has a scythe, is agriculture a major industry in the underworld? Maybe. I think it is, yeah. They gotta eat somehow. If giraffes were predators, they would look both hilarious and terrifying while sneaking up on their prey. Spider-Man wouldn't be nearly as cool if his webs shot out of his butt like an actual spider. No generation has ever looked at an upcoming generation and said, these kids will be alright. It's always, these kids will not be alright. Uno reverse cards will only work because if you reverse the syllables in Uno, it says, no you. Gamers probably like games so much because, unlike in real life, the rules are consistent, make sense, and can be learned. And there are guides that you can read in case you're lost. I think gamers just like games because they're fun. If the pollution of oceans and overfishing continues, they'll have to update there's plenty of fish in the sea, too. There are still some fish left among the trash, which is also far more accurate dating-wise. Garlic is an anticoagulant. Eating garlic to ward off vampires is actually propaganda by vampires to make humans bleed more efficiently. Saying that you speak without an accent is like saying your research paper was not typed in a font. When you're still learning the basics of a language and your accent is Comic Sans, the hub employees probably rush to open the hub tab when their boss walks by. Someday an old person will die, and so will the last living memory of you. I wonder if these videos will still be up 200 years in the future somewhere on the internet, and maybe somewhere, maybe someone will watch one. No, I will not clean my shower. My shower can shower when I do, or not at all. When self-driving cars become mainstream, dead old people will occasionally just arrive places. It's not delivery, it's dead people. The next generation of serial killers will probably torture NPCs instead of animals when they are kids. I think they will do both. Is speaking an action? If so, does that make speaking greater than actions and words? One of the best feelings is that exact moment when you find out someone has the same sense of humor as you. I'm convinced that some girls with ponytails move their heads a little more enthusiastically around because they like how they're We do. Finland doesn't have any prominent folklore about the dead rising to haunt the living, but while dressing a body for a burial, it's a tradition to bind the corpse's legs together. Maybe that's why there's no prominent folklore of the undead haunting the living. Yeah, because they didn't have the possibility to if their legs are tied together. Console video games are just super complicated thumb wars. 23 years of cell phone cameras, and still no one cares about your fireworks photos. I care, just not that much. A college degree proves patience more than it shows intelligence. On New Year's Day in the year 9001, an ancient anime historian will shout, "It's over 9000!" and no one will have a clue what he's talking about. You think they're still going to be watching anime in 9001? What do you think the form of entertainment will be then? Just warping into a game like SAO? The only thing separating you from certain death at 65 miles per hour is a painted white line and a mutual agreement to not play bumper cars. And hopefully no one crazy is around you. In movies, there are two kinds of vents: human-sized vents and vents that are big enough only for the smallest, least experienced member of the group. If I'm not consciously controlling my bodily functions, does that mean I'm being kept alive against my own will? Maybe. I don't know, Socrates. You tell me. If you kill somebody, they're dead. Yes, because people die if they're killed. In the Harry Potter universe, where paintings and images can interact with those looking at them, waifu pillows are probably a lot more interesting. I can't believe you casually just posted this like it was an okay thing to do. A cactus is just a really aggressive cucumber. There's no logical reason for shorts to be the same price as pants. I know, right? It's less materials. Since we use chemicals to kill wasps, and wasps use chemicals to sting us, we are at a constant chemical warfare with wasps. You never fully realize how inept mainstream media is until they cover a topic you know a lot of. If you get married in Japan, then fly to Hawaii and immediately die after you land. Your marriage certificate will be dated after your death certificate. Weekend plans! You could throw a rock into a lake and be the last person to ever touch that rock until the end of time. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, still shame on you because one time is is not enough for a pattern to be detected, and losing all trust after one bad experience is not practical. For me 3 times, and yeah, I probably should have seen that coming. In the wizarding world, rappers would be the hardest to battle. Imagine how fast they could spit verbals to cast multiple spells. Your brain is capable of real-time writing, directing, and rendering an animated, interactive movie just to forget all of that as soon as you wake up. No one reads the rules of Monopoly until a fight breaks out. Yeah, early to mid-game, everyone's reading the rules and checking what is allowed and what isn't. It would have really sucked to be the first person to discover dogs can't eat chocolate. It would have been so sad. No one likes a 2-hour-long drive, but when you think about it, it's like only a 3 out of 1,000 of a month-long drive, so it's not that bad. The implication of a hot dog being pureed meat in animal casing, intestine, is that a hot dog doesn't stop being a hot dog even after we eat it. By that conclusion, we, as the hot dog casing, become hot dogs ourselves when we eat hot dogs. What a horrible day to be literate. Isn't every day a horrible day to be literate? Especially when you're on the internet. Being smart but not good at tests is like being attractive but not photogenic. 1111 multiplied by 1111 being a 1 2 3 4 3 2 1 is the mathematical equivalent of a white light dispersing through a prism to make a rainbow. Pollen is essentially plant sperm. Therefore, hay fever is an STD. Since no one voluntarily takes in pollen, we're all being assaulted by trees. If you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll never see yourself look anywhere besides directly into your own eyes. There's enough sperm sitting in donation centers to impregnate every adult woman on Earth. If men disappeared tomorrow, the human race would continue. Someone needs to burn all this sperm. I'm kidding. Most comments on not safe for work sites were written with one hand. I think you would be surprised by how many type with one hand, even when not doing it. Probably 2 out of 100 people type one-handed on phone. I just did this whole thing with one hand, and it was absolutely pointless and more time consuming. Procrastinators are able to do 30 minutes of work in 8 hours, and 8 hours of work in the 30 minutes before it's due. Many people hate bees simply because wasps are a-holes. At first glance, okay, I didn't even think wasps are the a-holes, it's hornets. Hornets are the worst. Crickets are the most relaxing sound ever. A cricket is the most irritating sound ever. Together they're a symphony. Alone, they're just one a-hole screaming into the dark. Unpopular opinion, Fat Bean Pikachu is better than the current Pikachu. If you wore a VR headset linked to a camera drone that was set to follow you from a few feet behind you, you could live in third person, disassociating. It's really weird how I was born in 2000 makes you sound like 17, but I was born in 1999 makes you sound 35. Sometimes I confuse time and money and think there is only 60 cents in a dollar. There is exactly one person on the planet who is the nicest person on Earth when both Mr. Rogers and Bob Ross were alive. When we say someone is hot, we think of their appearance. But when we say someone is cold, we think of their personality. There was someone who coined the phrase dad joke. What kind of coin did he use? The dad coin? Every shower thoughts post. Life is like video game. We all did once. Weird sexual thing literally nobody but this person has done. Mulan's dad would have never been asked to fight on the front lines. He was a celebrated war veteran and old. They would have had him training recruits or acting as a general, or at the very least, they would give him a horse. Being the older sibling, you watch the evolution of how your parents' strictness just fades away when it comes to your younger siblings. Older televisions gave off that fuzz static feeling when you touched the screen, and newer ones don't. Soon, it will become a forgotten feeling, just like how people 500 years ago bathed in cold water or lukewarm water. The other day, my water stopped working, and it was freezing. It was freezing! If a dog is man's best friend, could you name it Diamond and it be a girl's best friend too? All someone needs to do is genetically engineer a horse to grow a horn, and that person will be rich. Unicorns! Chefs are hard-working, talented artists, and we all turn their best efforts into poop, but we enjoyed it. When Mr. Krabs was taking that one dude's order for a pizza, you can hear that he was talking. When Mr. Krabs hung up on him, that was probably when he ordered the Diet Dr. Kelp.